Yeah, you know what time it is. It's time for the Geekenders podcast. MegaRan, Jesse and Dodger, what up? Let's go. Yo, it's the weekend. Yeah, it's time to geek out. Let it begin. Go on, stream and shout. It's Jesse and Dodger, so give them a follow and see what the Geekenders are all about. Yo, it's the weekend. Yeah, it's time to geek out. Let it begin. Go on, stream and shout. It's Jesse and Dodger, so give them a follow. #1 geek podcast, without a doubt. Yo, another end of another long week. Got a job and a kid, I know that you all beat. So take a second, grab a drink and vibe while we catch you up in just a matter of time. On gaming, comics, whatever you're doing. If you're nerdy like us, then you know you should tune in. Thank you for sharing our world with us. Now follow, subscribe, and turn this up. Yo, it's the weekend. Yeah, it's time to geek out. Let it begin. Go on, scream and shout. It's Jesse and Dodger, so give them a follow. #1 geek podcast, without a doubt.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Geekenders. My oh my. I'm joined today by one of our first guests, a very special guest. Dare I say, love of my life. I dare. Dodger, of course, is gone this week, but I am delighted to be joined by Jasmine, that bronze girl on the interwebs, just coming in, swinging, looking amazing today. Hello.
I'm coming and swinging. Definitely not half asleep because it's 8 a.m. I'm swinging, dog.
That's you know what? That I'm here for that. I'll take 8 a.m. swings. They're the least hurtful, so that's fine. Yeah.
How are you doing, Jesse?
I'm doing great. I had a lovely week of just chilling and being all good. And I hear a little birdie has told me you had a pretty lovely week too, with some big announcements. And
yeah.
I figured at the top I would harass you about them.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
I had to sit up straight. I was like, oh shit. I didn't know that reached his part of the internet.
Oh yeah. I've been reached. It reached
You've been
around.
reached?
It reached around and told me what was up.
Wait, what?
Okay, so let's talk about this. You are now, besides being your favorite DM's favorite DM, you now are in charge of a whole thing. Please tell me about this. It's official. This is official.
It's official. Yeah, so I'm dungeon mastering the official actual play show done by the makers of Dungeons and Dragons, Wizards of the Coast, which is cool because basically what that means is we can use all of the lore from the books, get early access to the books before they come out, and can showcase the things in the books to the audience, so that they can decide if they want to buy it or not, if they want to run it in their own home game. So it's actually like kind of cool. I love it because for the longest time in my dungeon mastering career, you kind of had to dance around IP and kind of create your own stuff, which is fun too. But I'm a big fan of these settings. I'm a big fan of Greyhawk. Orth is probably one of my favorite settings. Love Planescape. So for me, it's fun to be able to actually play with the canon settings and NPCs and stuff like that, and have permission to do that and get to our first setting book is Ravenloft, and I love being able to showcase to people the stuff that's inside the book because I've been talking about it for free on YouTube and Twitch forever, so it's nice to have a show.
So wait, how long has
this have a show?
Yeah. How long has this been in the works? I imagine a while.
Yeah. It's why I haven't streamed for a bit. Part of that was I had a lot of life stuff going on, so not to depress everybody at the top of the hour, but the last part of last year was really rough for me. I was in a car accident. The lady who hit me ended up being sued by the city.
Damn.
Because she was driving recklessly with expired tabs.
Okay.
Which is crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, she kind of was going crazy fast, made an illegal left turn, hit me in a head-on collision, totaled my car.
Damn.
And then, yeah, I know. After that, I had some crazy life stuff happen. Had to move. That was a horrible process. Anybody that's moved knows moving is the worst thing in the entire world. Then I had to go to India for my brother's wedding, and I was gone for that for a while. And then this stuff happened in the midst of it all and right after it all. So if you're watching and you're like, oh, I haven't seen Bronze online in like 4 months, because I was literally hit by a car and my life was turned upside down. So yeah, I'm still navigating it too, because like I still have like a lot of body pain from it. And it's like, it's crazy. It's crazy.
Was all that taken care of? Did they like?
No, I have to figure it out now. Like it will be like taken care of insurance wise, thankfully, because you know, medical stuff in America costs a lot of money. But the crazy thing I think they don't tell you about like accidents like that, because this is my first accident. I've never been in an accident before. And it's crazy when it's not your fault, how it still sucks, because they don't tell you that like oftentimes like any pain you have isn't like right away. It's like 2 months down the line, you'll just be like, oh, my ankle hurts like all the time. My ankle really just kind of always hurts. And so that's something I've been dealing with. And it popped up a lot when I was moving. Because, you know, going up and downstairs carrying stuff, I was like, oh, my right ankle's kind of bothering me. And now when I drive, my right ankle hurts like all the time, almost like I twisted it. It swells up. And I'm like, either I spontaneously have a very weak ankle or I actually hurt it in my accident 3 months ago. And now I'm like, how do I explain to them, like, well, when everything happened, I said I was fine. But actually now I feel like a scammer. Is that weird? Like, I'm like, am I scamming? Like,
yeah, I mean, I imagine it's the same thing as if you got a car serviced. This is such a weird analogy. If you got like a car serviced and then you left the you know, the dealer, mechanic or whatever, and then like 2 days later something they did breaks, but there's no evidence to support the fact that they did it, so you're just kind of stuck with the results.
That part. Yeah, like how do you have evidence to be like, I had perfectly good ankles before, and now it hurts if I drive more than 45 minutes.
Yeah.
Like a long drive will like absolutely destroy one ankle specifically. Anyways, but yeah, I've been busy with it, and I've been holding off on coming on back onto the internet for a little bit because I don't want to be one of those people that's like, I know people have a lot of shit going on in their own lives. So I didn't want to be one of those people that was like, oh, I'm going to come online and stream and complain about my life. I'm not, maybe that's toxic.
maybe. But maybe.
I can't imagine like working your like 9 to 5, dealing with angry customers and horrible people all day. Because I've worked retail, and then coming home, turning on Game Bay, turning on Streamer Kun, and then Streamer Kun is like, I'm the new official dungeon master for Wizards of the Coast, and I let me complain about my life. You know, like
yeah. And
but we've talked about this before as people who've had real jobs.
Yeah.
When streamers say, "Oh, streaming's harder than a real job," we're like, "Shut the fuck up."
Yeah. I genuinely, I talk about this all the time with like everyone I know who just had a real life before streaming, and the idea that it's like the hardest job in the world to get online and play a video game or sit there and scroll through the internet and leave sassy comments is like, you should be so thankful. Shut up. You lucked out. Be quiet. You be grateful for what you have. This whole like, oh, it's tough out here. Like, nah, dude, go work in a mine.
Yeah.
Like, that's tough.
I'm grateful every day. So I'm not going to like come on here and complain, like I said, to people that work like, you know, tougher jobs than mine about, because they get in car accidents and deal with this stuff too. Yeah. They don't need to come online and hear about it from me, you know?
Yeah, and no matter what, it's kind of like when you, especially if you live in LA and you're like, it's so cold out today. Someone's going to be like, in LA, bro? No, that's not cold. You're just weak. I'm like, all right, touche. You're correct. I've adapted to the hot. And when it's 50 degrees, I'm like, oh, God. Yeah, all right. Fine. You got me. but that's not what I was saying. I was just venting.
There's something to be said for that too, because it's like, to a certain extent, everybody's problems are real to them.
Yeah,
right? Yeah, so it's like you get to complain about the cold when you live in LA, just like, out here in Washington, people complain about the heat and it won't even be that hot. So you could drag them during that time period of time. You could be like, oh, 98, that's nothing. It's 110 here in March.
Yeah, I just don't, part of me is like, yeah, all right, it's hot. I think I've been beaten down by the internet so much that I'm like, I don't, like, yeah, man, do your thing.
Do you remember, I remember this. I'm sure you remember.
Go on.
Do you remember when the internet came after you for ordering coffee?
Oh, they still do. Every once in a while, I'll get an image where some like crazy dude on the internet is like, this beta soy boy cook is the like poster boy for what's wrong with masculinity in America, and I'm like, got me, dude. Yep. Got me.
It was like so crazy because it was like ordering a coffee is wasteful.
It was literally,
this is so crazy.
Yeah, it was like a brand deal photo for some company that paid me to like order this drink thing, and I was like, sure, man. And it became like, I was on Alex Jones's show. They had my face and they were like, this scar is ruining like these kind of people. And I was like, all right, cool, man. I'll bring down the system. I'm the problem, apparently. It's good times. That was almost 10 years ago. And every once in a while it still pops up. And I'm like, yeah, that thing's got legs, baby.
That just means you still got it, man.
Thank you. Yeah.
You doing something as innocuous as ordering a coffee is sending people into legendary crashouts. So you're still on fire. You still got it.
Yeah, I'm permanently, you know how they have those images? It's so funny where they have those images of like every like MAGA bro on the internet, and it has like all the dudes with the shades and the hats. And then it has one that's like every like liberal cuck on the internet. It's all the different like meme faces, and I'm there. It's me. So it's always a treat. I get to be involved in the internet.
Have you seen the Alex Jones clips where his head is like edited onto a Space Marine's body?
Yes. Oh my God. Yes.
Yeah, it makes him like so funny to me. I'm sorry.
Yes.
It makes him so funny because like his crazy shtick matches like
yes. Oh, first off, I've seen all of those shorts and they're so funny.
They're all so good.
Like, they're demons. They're all. It's just him.
It'll be like a Black Templar just like ranting, and you're like, this is actually really funny. I did not think I was gonna go for this. I love it.
Oh, it's so fun. That one's good. And the one where it's the entire cast of Always Sunny, but they're different Chaos Marines.
Yes. And
the fact they fit so well is really disturbing.
Yeah.
It's good stuff.
The whole thing where he's like, demons, I'll destroy you. I'll destroy your family. It's like, it's so much funnier if you imagine him as a Space Marine.
Yeah, honestly, it really is. Whoever made that,
it's so good.
It's one of my favorite clips I've seen online. There's like a whole series of kind of that like cut out Space Marine body with someone else's face
head on there.
Yeah, and then it's a scene from a show or something, but it's so very perfect for Warhammer, and I love it.
No, if you imagine Alex Jones as a psyker, like all of a sudden every video he's made makes so much sense. Like everything he talks about.
Yes.
If you imagine that this man is kind of low-key channeling the warp, all of a sudden, like, he just makes sense. You're like, okay, I guess maybe he's onto something, perhaps.
Yeah, in the distant future, he has a lot to say. Oh, Yep.
I hope he's not there in the distant future. Sacrificing 1,000 souls to the Golden Throne is one thing. We don't need to be sacrificing a million souls to Alex Jones to keep that guy alive. That's
another part of the Capitol. It's like, I need more souls. You gotta give me more souls. I gotta stay alive. I gotta broadcast.
Bring me more souls, soy boy beta Cox. Whoever orders this Starbucks drink, snap them up. Bring me their soul.
A latte. Give me those soy boy cucks. Get out of here. A macchiato. What even is that?
You know what's even funny is like the if we get back into the discussion of like how much it costs to like order a coffee and how it doubles the cost of the coffee.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's crazy when folks in LA do that, because in LA everything takes like 3 times as long as it does anywhere else. So I feel like it's maybe like worth your time. Whereas like someplace else, like in like where I live, I probably wouldn't spend the money on a delivery fee for like a coffee, right? Like just a coffee. I would have to like make it worth it to like justify the delivery fee. But for you, because I've been to LA, that nothing in LA is fast. It's not New York. It's not like everything there is actually really, really slow. I
don't even think it's worth it. I exist in a space in LA where I see people around me order food in. I've removed all those apps from my phone. I am like, no, I'll just go to a place because COVID's over. I'm not messing with that. I don't need you to deliver food to me for like $30 more. However, when I see people who do it, it isn't the fact that they just do it. It's the fact that someone will deliver a bag of like, I don't know, coffee and breakfast from like the Crumb Muffin or some, douchey LA restaurant. And it'll be sitting outside of their home or apartment or door all day. And I'm like,
are people not bringing their food in?
No, it is an epidemic. Everywhere I go, I see them. There's times where I'll see it just like here at the office.
That's crazy.
There's a whole hallway of other offices and people will have food delivered and they'll just be outside for hours. And I'm like, if I order something, and maybe that's just because I'm fat. If I order food, I'm like, where's that food at? When's that food going to get here? I'm looking at the thing. I'm like, what's going on over here? I'm like, did you forget? What are you... Crazy. First off, it always arrives cold and gross anyway. Secondly, now it's getting colder and grosser. I don't understand.
It always arrives cold and gross because even if they put it in hot, they don't do anything about the condensation. So like all the steam rises up and you just end up with a wet. I mean, this has never been a problem with me. I feel bad for you having to live in LA with LA people because sorry, I'm
oh no.
I don't want to piss off all the entire because like nobody there like it seems like the 3 or 4 projects I've worked on and now that I'm doing the Wizards of the Coast thing. I'm in the LA a lot, like literally for weeks at a time. Nobody there just drinks plain black coffee like I do. I'm not going to say Seattleites aren't snobs about coffee. We absolutely are. But like we're snobs about how we like make plain black coffee, if that makes sense. Sure. Like, everybody, typically people invest in, there's a reason Seattle Coffee Company is so popular here. Typically people invest in the machines to make great pour over coffee or great espresso or what have you at home, right? So like for me, not having a latte is like not the end of the world. I'm more than happy to like just show up and have like a solid cup of coffee.
Sure.
But apparently that's not the case. So I've been on a lot of sets where they have a perfectly fine coffee setup and people are like, can we do a Starbucks order? And I'm like, there's coffee here. And everybody looks at me like I'm crazy when I say that. Everybody looks at me like I'm an insane person when I'm like, well, they have a coffee machine.
Yeah.
They have coffee. And people look at me like I'm demonic. And they're just like, well, that's not real coffee. And I'm like, well, what's real coffee?
I mean,
because every set I've been on, they're like, can we do a Starbucks order?
I wonder if the assumption is they're thinking espresso. I know that's not the case. I know they're not saying that the coffee on set is not as good as espresso. I think it's the idea of we have ordered from someplace which is kind of fun. You know, that's like the LA vibe of like, well, it's kind of fun. Most things in LA have that. Well, why did you do that? It was kind of fun. That's what it is, really.
That explains it. Because I used to think it was an espresso thing, but sometimes we'll have an espresso and that's still not enough. And I'm like, okay, well now I don't know what it is. So it's like, and this is where I talk about Seattle snobbery. I don't like Starbucks. I don't think it tastes very good.
I mean, it's mediocre coffee.
Yeah, people don't.
Yeah, no, it's like mediocre coffee, but it is one of those things where everywhere you go, it tastes the same, so you know what you're getting.
Oh.
When
always burnt. I'm sorry.
No, but like the problem is that the good coffee in LA is places. It's like a place that has an insane name, so it's always like intelligentsia, proletariat, boy and the bear, dark roast, like all all sorts of crazy names, and the problem is when you go there, while the coffee is delicious, just straight black coffee, it's also like $8 a cup, which, you know, for normal, just the thing is they'll sell you to like, this coffee was grown on a small island off the coast of Peru, and chimpanzees were the farmers, and you know, like they'll give you this crazy story as to why it's $8 a cup, but it's still $8 for like this much coffee, which is crazy. So that's why a lot of people don't do that when they can go to Starbucks and get their like $5 grande latte or whatever.
Yeah, I've been trying to change my platform to not just being that I hate LA, but man, it's hard. LA challenges me every time I'm there. You're God's strongest soldier for being there as long as you have been.
Yeah. I enjoy the psychotics of the world, so like that's why I'm here. I like the crazies. There are so many genuinely. Man, there's this guy. Hold on, let me see if I can. I'm gonna read. There's this guy in the corner near the office, and he every day is there with not one sign, multiple signs, and he tacks them up on this street sign, and they're like, I have no idea what they mean. I don't know what he's trying to say to the world. What I do know is that there's nothing about him that, you know, I don't mean this in sort of any offensive way. There's nothing about him that looks crazy. He just looks like a guy on the corner who probably would be walking across the crosswalk to go wherever. But then he'll post things like, see if I can find you this gem. They're always insane. Oh boy.
Wait, Wombat, that's so real though. I also fuck with Dunkin' Coffee.
Is it on the black coffee or just any?
All of it, because they have like these, what are they called? Swirls or something? I got onto them in Boston when I was there for PAX East, and it's become like a tradition now. But they have like non-sweetened flavors because I don't really like my coffee very sweet. Mm-hmm. And I really fuck with Dunkin' Donuts, man. I really do. If I want a sweet treat, I like to have like a donut and
an 18,000 calorie coffee.
No, usually black coffee, like an iced black coffee. But I love I love Dunkin's. But yeah, they do like weird flavors that aren't sweetened. They're just true. Like flavors that I'm kind of into. I don't like. Because they do two different kinds. There's like a swirl. I remember like the lady asked me, "Do you want this or this?" And I was like, I don't know what any of these things are. And so there's like flavors and then swirls and then I don't know the difference between them. I don't know what kind of coffee chemistry they're doing at Dunkin'. It is very yummy though. I'll say that. It's very yummy.
They have scientists back there figuring out the max sugar intake a person can have in any good day. And it's great. It's delicious, but it's also like do not look at the calorie count for anything at Dunkin'. You'll be shocked. Okay.
What about Tim Hortons?
Tim Hortons used to be great. I haven't been to a Tim Hortons in over a decade, so I don't know. what is. I hear from my Canadian brothers and sisters that it is not as good as it once was, but I don't know. All right, I found. You can't see any of it, but I found this guy, and I just want to read you one of the signs. This is a sign. A sound mind still matters. Even vape taints genes. Chantry heal DNA. Cheat drug tests. Lung rot pot gives toxic blood. Out arrow freak arrow mind. Forgive though forgot. Flames out on Atria. Music ends. Eagles so real. He's out there every day. And here's what's crazy. You might think, well, Jesse, have you talked to the man? First off, I have. He is one of the most coherent people. He's like, oh, hey, what's up? I'm like, yeah, what does that mean? And he's like, oh, yeah, well, so you see, and he'll just talk. But like what he says is not real things. And then he'll be like, does that make sense? And I'll be like, yeah, all right, well, I'm going to go. And he's like, all right, cool, see you later. Like there's in like I don't know. That's LA. That sums up LA. This guy seems like just like an average dude, but he has things in his head he needs to say. And that is LA. LA is like a lot of people on the outside, appearance wise, just like, hey, what's going on? How's it going? And they go back to their home and it's bright pink and they've got Marilyn Monroe posters on the walls and they've got a bed that has like, it shakes and vibrates. And then they like lay on it and they sing to themselves. And they're like, one day I'll be a star. That's LA. That's LA.
That low-key makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense. I was recently at a tiki bar because I love tiki. I was recently at a tiki bar. There was someone sitting next to me. I've been to this particular tiki bar before. And he was like, oh, I've been to all the tiki bars in this area and this is them ranked. And I'm like, okay. And he's like, the drink you test every tiki bar with is the 3 dots and a dash. And I was like, okay. And I'm literally drinking something called the banana hammock, which is just like yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's just like frozen banana and rum, right? In like a slushy machine. And he's like, oh yeah, that's what I ordered. And then this is the craziest thing. He's just like, do you want a sip? And I'm like, no, I'm good. And he's like, no, like, do you want to like take a sip and find, and I was like, of your drink? You don't know me. You don't know where my mouth's been. Like, that's crazy. No, I don't want a sip of your drink. Here's what's even wilder. He asked my friend sitting next to me, he's like, do you want a sip? And I'm like, what is happening? This is the LA part of the story. He continues talking to me. He voices a major character in Breath of the Wild. Just randomly drops that. Like, oh, I see you play games. Which games do you play? Have you ever played Breath of the Wild? I'm not saying a minor character. I'm saying one of the main characters from Breath of the Wild, he voices. I'm not going to name
what was Matt Mercer doing there? Yeah, why was he offering you drinks? Matt!
Yeah.
That guy.
Because it was wild because he was like, we were talking about like a zine we want to make. We were talking about D&D. He's like, oh, you guys do D&D? You know Matt Mercer? He's a friend of mine. And in my head, I like looked over like, as a friend of Matt's, I was like, okay, sure, buddy. Yeah, how do you know him? And he's like, oh, we're both on Breath of the Wild. Go home, Google him. I was like, a major voice actor from Breath of the Wild was asking me to take a sip of his drink at a tiki bar?
Yeah.
LA people are weird.
Yes.
LA people are just a little weird. That's all I'm going to say. I'm not going to try to judge this man. Maybe he wasn't trying to roofie me. Probably he wasn't. But I also still think asking strangers at a bar to take sips of your drink is such an LA thing because I feel like anywhere else you would be like, no. Why would you want strangers to drink of your drink? And also, why would strangers want to drink of your drink? I
genuinely feel like in LA, everyone could be someone, so no one wants to be like, shut up. You know, like everyone, there's the potential that the person you're sitting next to at the tiki bar or whatever could be your next in to something. So
that's what it is. Yes. Yeah. That's what it is.
So everyone has this kind of like a very accepting, even the weirdest of people. You're like, all right, yeah, cool. You don't want to piss anyone off.
There's like a level of friendliness and familiarity that I'm so unused to as a non-LA native. And that's what it is. Like, would I ask somebody I know if they wanted to have a sip of my drink? Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. I'm sure you've done it too. Oh, this is really good. Do you want a sip? Because
we were at JP's wedding and you and I were like, yo,
we were taking sips of each other's drinks. Yeah. Yes. So like, but it's different because we know each other, right? Mm-hmm. But I think like that level of a familiarity amongst strangers, it really only happens in LA. You giving me that context makes it make way more sense, where it's like, yeah, everybody's like, this person you run into might be your next casting director, might be the person that gets you this gig over here. And once you start, but it also leads to like a sort of soullessness that's really like, anytime you're at an event there, and I know you can relate to this and you're talking to someone, they're always looking over your shoulder at who the more important person is that just walked in. And they act like this all the time, where they'll be talking to you and they'll just like, you just see them kind of look over your shoulder or at who's walking in the door the entire time, because they're constantly taking an inventory to figure out if there's somebody more important that they should be talking to, which is wild.
It is. Which is wild. It's. I've always kind of described it as like, in LA, everyone is very nice to you, but no one is actually nice. And in New York, everyone is a complete dick to you, but they're the nicest. Like, they will be like, yeah, no, I got you, dude. You big freaking idiot. You know, like they'll be very, outwardly brash, but internally they're sweethearts. And I think it's very interesting to see the difference between the two, because LA is a all smiles town. And I don't think half of them are real smiles. You know what I mean? Like everyone's like, yeah, of course. I've definitely had people and been in meetings where, I'll be having a conversation and then they'll be like, yeah, no, yeah. Yep. No, exactly. And I'm like, okay, so the meeting's over. You no longer care what I have to say. Like, let's just end this. Like, why still talk to you?
Yeah, it doesn't help that like LA natives are pretty chill. But it's a city of mostly transplants.
Sure.
So like, I think like people that are like from LA have a completely different vibe than people who have moved there from other places. Mm-hmm. And I think that affects it as well. Yeah. I feel like people who've grown up in that city typically don't exhibit all of the behaviors that we're describing. They're usually like a lot more normal.
Yeah. I mean, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's
because it's like one of those like influencer things. Like the second you make it, you move to LA when you become serious about your career. Like I know so many Twitch streamers and influencers where they're like, the second they're serious, they move to LA. And I feel like because of that, they overwhelm people that just like kind of live there and are just like chilling and have grown up in and around the film industry and kind of treat it, I don't know, they just treat it a little bit differently.
Yeah, I mean, most of the LA natives I know move to places like San Pedro or Torrance or Long Beach. They like get the hell out of there. They're like, no, I don't want to. It's too expensive. I don't want to live there. I'm going to be over here, and that's fine. It's like all right. But yes, you're right. They're always there's two LA people, the like kind of like beach vibey.
That's you.
Thank you. And then the stoners. And then the ones who are just constantly high. And they're like, that's how I get by every day, man. LA's crazy. That's it. There's only two types. Everyone else, I'm convinced, is a transplant. There's only two. There's the LA like beach vibe where everything's like chill, man. Like whatever, man. And then the like constantly high. And then everyone else is from out of town.
Wait, but you're a transplant, but you give LA beach vibe energy.
It's crafted. I've worked at it. I try my hardest not to be a complete ass. So yeah.
It's just funny to me. You're like, it is a veneer
Yeah.
I've built up in a very calculated fashion over years, and I've managed to fool all of you on the internet with it. I actually have a massive stick up my ass.
I'm still a Midwest boy. I'm sure I've got all sorts of problems. It's like, I can't say the word wolf. I say woof, and everyone's like, "What'd you say, woof?" I'm like, a wolf, a wolf. And they're like the sound? I'm like, no, like the animal. And they're like, what do you mean? I'm like, a wolf. Yeah. So
wait, what are some other Midwestisms? Lay it on me. What are the pinnacles or tenets or tent poles of being a Midwestern boy?
This is a very good one. I remember vividly that my school was considered like very, very diverse. We were like a very diverse school. And you may ask, in what way, Jesse? We had exactly one black student who was adopted. That was the diversity. Yeah. That was the Midwest diversity. We were like, wow, guys, we are a pretty liberal institution.
But you know what, though? Like, people that grow up in non-diverse areas, I've never really had issues with them. Because if anything, they just don't know stuff, but they're not hateful.
Sure.
Then you have people that grow up in diverse areas and are angry about it. And this is what I run into a lot in Canada that people don't like to talk about, because there's parts of Canada that have massive Indian populations, and there's some people that are very cool about it, and there's some people that are very not cool about it. And so there's people that grow up around Indian people and they still hate shit, but it's hard to explain. It's not because they don't know. It's not because they're like, oh, that's weird, I don't really know what that is. It's because they're just like, I'm so sick and tired of you fucking people, you know? So even though people are like, I'm sorry, I went to an all-white school, I don't know. I'm like, that's fine. Not knowing isn't a crime. Not knowing isn't a big deal. But it's when you decide, no, I know and I think it's wrong and I hate you. And that is something I ran into. I've only run into in parts of Canada, if I'm being honest. It's like a weird, it's like a weird thing. It's very awkward. It's very awkward.
Is it one of those like, go home, you're not a real Canadian, like that kind of vibe in Canada?
Yeah, like it's
Canada.
In parts. I'm serious. But people who are from Canada probably know. On one hand, I kind of understand why, because on one hand, it's like we take up whole parts of the city and are like, this is ours. And like, this is where the Indian market is. And this street is just Indian shops and Indian restaurants and all this stuff. And I mean, like, I think it's cool because like growing up, I grew up like, I don't want to say Bay Area because I wasn't exactly in San Francisco, but like an hour from San Francisco. And so anytime anybody in our family got married or we had a big event, we would drive up to Canada and go shopping there because they had just such a massive Indian population compared to what we had in California. So you would like go up there and it would be a great time, you know? But in recent years, it's like people don't like that. They don't like that they've taken up like 2 or 3 streets that just become essentially like Little India.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, it is absolutely what it is. It's like, oh, every single shop is an Indian jewelry shop, clothing shop, or restaurant, and not everybody, I guess, likes that. Which is crazy.
Yeah, it's interesting because you imagine most major cities have little insert ethnic group, right? Honestly, that's the spot where you're like even in LA, if I'm like Little Ethiopia, there's like 8 restaurants there we can go to and get like some crazy good food. Like there's plenty of places. That is interesting. I did see, I for some reason I got on like a kick with Canada. I don't know why. I was just like down a rabbit hole of Canadian slang. And what I realized, most Canadian slang is basically because, let me specify, in Toronto. This is more Toronto slang.
Got it. Okay.
But most of it is just like Jamaican immigrants. Like it's when you listen to it, you're like, wait a minute, that sounds Jamaican. And it totally is. It's just Jamaican immigrant culture is in Toronto and most of the slang now is Jamaican. And I was like, okay. And it's really funny to see like a bunch of like Canadians just put on a little bit of an accent. You're like, all right, guys. Okay.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah, I was like,
I don't know. It's kind of interesting. That's melting pot shit.
Yeah.
So a couple people in chat have clocked one of the 2 areas of Canada where I've dealt with the craziest forms of racism, and yeah, it is Quebec. Quebec was one of them. I won't. I'm sure, but this is the solace I've gotten from other Canadians is that apparently they're not very nice to the rest of you guys either.
In Quebec,
but
Quebecois?
the 2 most racist encounters I've ever had have been in Quebec. Like both of them. It's like it was bad. Like it was really bad, and I was shocked. I was shocked both times. I was just like, did I just get hate crime? But it was like, but the one solace I have is like other Canadians are like, oh, they don't like the rest of us either. It makes me feel a little better.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
It makes me feel a little better about how mean they are to me when I go there. Like how just like rude they are to me. I'm like, okay, so that makes me, it's a solace to know that the white people of the rest of Canada also have to put up with it, because then it's like there's solidarity where it's like, okay, they treat all of us like garbage. That's yeah.
It feels a little better.
Yeah, no, seriously, I'm not even joking, because it's like, okay, so it's not just like, it makes it less personal when they're like horrible to you. You're like, okay, they hate everybody. Yeah, okay, that makes it less like, horrible.
Sure.
Or we have solidarity together, because then we can all hate them back.
Is that really what it's about? It's like, look, if they're gonna hate us, we can hate them back together. That bonds us. We're bonded by hate.
We have strength in numbers, guys. What if we all join together, and when they hate us, we just say,
we hate them
nobody
right back.
likes you either, and we're all. Love can join you together, but so can hate.
I learned that in the 31st millennium.
It all comes back to Warhammer. It all comes back to Warhammer. I think, what do they say? They say, curse the heretic, the witch, and the Quebecois, right?
Yeah, that's what they say. That's I hear that's what they say.
In the Inquisition.
The Xenos and the Quebecois, we're gonna take them out.
The alien, the heretic, the witch, and the Quebecois. That was, I'm pretty sure, yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's what the Emperor said. Yeah.
Oh, man.
Oh, okay. We need to bring it back, because we started and then we went off a little bit. So
we always do. We need Dodger here to keep us on the rails. We can't.
That's why she was like, I can't be there. I'm out. I don't want to hang out with the 2 of you.
Or JP had to do it for 3 years. It's keeping you
what
and
an
me
idiot.
on the rails.
Yeah, stupid guy.
What's crazy is one of us would always get blamed, but it was always both of us.
What? I don't believe that. That doesn't sound like us at all.
It was always both of us. It was be like, oh, because Jesse wants to be crazy today, or because Bronze doesn't want to stay on topic. It was always both of us. Yeah,
that's true. Well, I want to get us back on topic so we can shamelessly promote your brand new show. So yeah, all right, let's go back to the World of D&D for a minute. Apparently that's going to be the new text on the screen. The World of D&D. Bam, done. Look at me, professional guy.
Oh shit.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, so new show. Give us some hints. I know this now, but for those who don't, who's the cast? What's it about? Where can they watch? All the things.
Yeah. I mean, it's dropping on YouTube. The first 2 episodes I think are going to drop together. The cast is amazing. We've got Devra Wild, who voices Lae'zel in Baldur's Gate 3, Neil Newbin, the voice of Astarion. We've got Mayana Baron, who's a writer and voice actress on Dispatch, very close personal friend of mine, love her. And Christian Navarro. And I'll be honest, what I know Christian from is 13 Reasons Why. That show kind of popped off a little bit, and so I had to watch it out of sheer curiosity. And then I met him in person and was like, "Oh shit, you're the guy from 13 Reasons Why."
Mm-hmm.
I'm positive he's been in other stuff though. And that's our cast. And we're this first season is set in Ravenloft. To give you a sneak peek at the Ravenloft book that's gonna come out, that's gonna drop, which has like tons of cool stuff in it for the different domains of dread, creating your own domains of dread and stuff like that. I like it because I don't always love a pre-written adventure. And so this is kind of the direction I love to see WotC go. A lot of people are like, are you allowed to give your opinion on stuff now? They told me I am. So I'm going to continue to give my honest opinion about stuff. But I don't know. As a DM, I don't always like, I didn't necessarily like the volume of pre-written adventures that were coming out and the lack of like cool source books for people to make their own stuff. And so what I like about Ravenloft is that, or this Ravenloft book is like, it's, you know, it's got tools for DMs to tell their own stories instead of a pre-written adventure for you to run. I think there is like a small one in there if you want to, but really it just gives you the tools to make your own stuff, which is cool. I won't spoil too much of it. But yeah, I love that direction that they're going. I love getting early access to stuff. I have a bit of a sneak peek on what's coming out this year, and I'm so excited. I think the thing that I don't know if people have caught on is like this isn't like a one-time thing. We've plans to continue releasing episodes for this for a while, I think. So we're already working on the next stuff, and yeah, I'm so excited. I love it. I love running this game, and I love being able to fuck about in the official canon, I guess, like with the canonical characters and stuff. And so, yeah,
that's very.
Sorry, that was not a very good description, but
no, this is great. I am so curious to see, because I imagine you aren't doing like, oh, it's every week we get together and do a thing. I imagine it's a you know, we all gather for X number of time, like a week of just straight filming, and then everyone separates, and then eventually we all get back together. Like that's the way it was probably filmed.
Yeah. So we do it in blocks, and yeah, it's then like kind of. I'm trying to. Yeah. I'm trying to remember if there's like. There's times I don't exactly know when things we're shooting are going to come out, I guess. Because we don't fake that it's live. The show's edited, and it's actually edited to make D&D a little bit more approachable. So we're not coming into this like, oh, everybody who's watching this has already seen an actual play. It's sort of like actually to like kind of grow the hobby a little bit more. So this is more of like, oh, if you're thinking about DMing, here's a cool resource on how you might use the materials that they're putting out soon. Or if you're coming in from like Stranger Things or the D&D movie or Baldur's Gate 3, here's like, you know, a version of a show that you could watch that could like give you some, and it's not super obtrusive. So like if you do know the rules, it's fine, but it's just like we pop up video style little things pop up.
Yeah, I was
going to
say you guys have little tooltips that will appear.
Yeah, that just kind of explain like what's going on. So, and we do pay attention to the rules. I'm not going to say that, you know, you don't bend them here and there, because that's also a part of Dungeons and Dragons, but we do kind of, it's not like 70% homebrew, which kind of happens with a lot of actual play. I mean, I do that a lot too. And,
Sure.
and a lot of the games I've run for you or for JP, I do a lot of homebrew. And this is kind of like, some kind of paring that back a little bit so that people can actually replicate it for their home games. Because like I ran a D&D show on my channel for years, and people would always be like, hey, when are you going to release the rules for camping? Or when are you going to release the rules for crafting? Or when are you going to release the rules? And I'd be like, I'm not a publishing company. I homebrewed all this stuff, and it's in a Google Doc, and you know, like it doesn't look pretty to look at, and it was written for me to read and not really for anybody else to read. And so it's one of those things where it's like with this, you can kind of see how the sausage is made, because even when I'm putting a twist on it, I'm still using stuff from the book. And so sometimes it's reskinned, sometimes it's just delivered in a different way, but it's stuff that like if you really like something, you can absolutely like kind of see how it's made and do it yourself. Which is part of why the series is called Dungeon Masters. It's absolutely to like, it's supposed to be that like we're the masters of the dungeon, but also that like you can be too. I can master and so can you, I guess. Which is kind of a fun approach.
Yeah, it's one of those, if I can do it, so can you, like that kind of thing.
Yeah, because I think like what some people like don't realize about a lot of these actual plays is the volume of people who work on them, and that's not any fault of the production themselves. It's just like it's just the realities. Like when you watch something, even like a movie, you don't necessarily know like all the things that get worked on. So when I talk about how like, oh yeah, I was a writer on, Critical Role, people are like, no, Matthew Mercer writes Critical Role. I'm like, no, he does, but like the world of Marquette was worked on by like, I want to say, I don't know the exact number, like 3 to 6, maybe 7 different writers like helped build out the world. So like, we took he still is obviously very involved in all of it, but we took like something that was 2 lines of an area and turned it into a part of the map, or turned it into an area with history and lore. So when you go on Reddit and there's dungeon masters that compare themselves to him, I'm just like, it's not really fair to yourself, because what you're not understanding is like there's whole teams of people that like look over this stuff and build it out. And so it's not one person with a Google Doc trying to homebrew an entire world. And I've also consulted on narratively, like for a couple of Dimension 20 seasons as well. And it's the same thing. You have somebody kind of looking out for you in terms of like, oh, I think you should add this. I think this would be cool to pull for a fairy tale season. I think, like there's multiple people kind of like working on that stuff. And so this is just me. It's just me and the book. And I think like there is still a team of people behind me. It's the team of people that wrote the book. It's the same team of people that's accessible to you. So that's actually probably my favorite thing about the way we're doing this show is like, honestly, like the audience has access to the same resources I do when putting together the campaign or the story, because I'm putting it together with the same books that they have. I'm not building stuff. I'm not building worlds from scratch and building like crazy homebrew mechanics from scratch. And if I am, I'm doing it solo, which is actually like kind of nice because I don't know, it gets away from you. And I love doing Coffin Run. I love doing those types of shows because of what you can accomplish with them when you have like an art department, when you have like people that are coming in and building crazy sets, and you have like lore consultants and lore keepers and people whose entire job it is to like help you do this stuff. But high key, it is kind of fun to like shoot on with this amazing production value, but still be like, everything I'm using is from this book, and you can use the same book too. I didn't view it as a challenge, I guess, is the thing. Because a lot of like going into it, they're like, hey, just so you know, we kind of would like for you to use this stuff because, we want our audience to be able to replicate what you're doing. And they're like, that's kind of our challenge to you. I was like, that's not a challenge at all. It's not a challenge at all because I like these settings. I like these books. So, and I love the stuff they're coming out with. I've always been really honest when I haven't liked things that they've done or things that they've put together. And I'm excited. I'm excited to do all the canon stuff. This is my favorite thing about Acquisitions Incorporated is that because our dungeon masters were Chris Perkins and Jeremy Crawford, we got to go to like all of the like official settings, and when we did the Greyhawk reset, I got my whole life back because I really love Orth. That's one of my favorite settings. So
I am so pleased for you. I genuinely can tell how excited you are. And that's awesome. It's nice. Yeah. It's nice to see that. Yeah.
I'm a nerd about this stuff. Mm-hmm. I love this stuff. I love what I call
no one was going to question that.
Yeah. Thank you, Jesse. Thank you, Jesse.
Yeah. No, please don't worry. We weren't questioning your nerdiness. Okay. Come on. So the cast, is it a rotating cast? Is it going to be the same people every time? Do you know?
Sapphire, I also love Eberron. Sorry. Yeah, no, it's the same cast.
That's awesome. And so everyone just kind of comes. You do like, oh, it's the new thing we're showing off. This is gonna be fun. And then you do a little story thing, and then
yeah,
everyone disperses.
we we get along quite well, which is nice because you never know if that's going to happen. We get along pretty well. We have our own group chat. And essentially, like, what happens is, like, I get access to the materials. I kind of come up with a concept for the season. And it's just like any game you'd have at home. Like, I kind of hit him with, like, all right, these are your notes for making characters. We have, like, a classic session 0, where everyone's like, okay, this time around, I think I'm going to play X, Y, or Z. So even the characters aren't really recurrent.
That's so fun.
Yeah, like if it makes sense, they are allowed to bring back a character. If we revisit the same area, the same timeline, the same plane, the same setting, they could absolutely bring a character back if they wanted to. But like, death is real at our table too. So like, if they lose a character, that character is gone. I
hope you have the production budget of if they die, they just fade away. The player just vanishes.
Right? Well, what's funny is like I made a joke during like one of our interviews. I think it was maybe with CNN, which was crazy. I never thought I'd get interviewed by CNN.
Wow.
And they were like, "Oh, like what happens if somebody dies at the table?" I was like, "They die." Like we all mutually agreed that we were gonna honor dice rolls. So it's like they die. And I like looked over at our businessmen, the brand men is what I call them, the people from brand. And I was like, I don't know what budget you have for art. Maybe one day I do a meat grinder dungeon. I do an Acerak in Greyhawk meat grinder dungeon. And you guys have to do art for like 17 characters. And literally like one of them was like, yeah, we can swing that. So I get a lot of I guess like freedom in that regard to like kind of make cool stuff and do the kind of thing I want to do. And it's fun because there's so many different styles of D&D. There's times where I'm like, oh, I want to do a meat grinder dungeon, which is I think a valid way to play. There's times that you're like, oh, I want to do, something that's like more classic, like, the those 90s action movies. I want to do something like that. Or I want to do something more serious or something dark or something horror, which is this season. This season's like a little bit more horror oriented, which is fun. I love the places we go. Yeah, like it's kind of cool. Sorry, I'm giving really rambling, weird answers because I'm trying not to come off as too much of a shill. I know people are gonna be like, "Oh, but it's like
you're giving excited."
Fucking love
is what I'm getting from this. Yeah, you seem like you enjoy it. What's not to love about that? I think that's fantastic.
Also, like, I've never had a regular game. Like, usually I get brought in to do like a guest spot, and then I like, and so the closest I came to it was like doing stuff with and for JP. Like that was like the closest I ever came to like having like a regular table and getting to GM for people regularly. And so like I have my home game, but I'm really excited to like actually be able to like spend this amount of time behind the DM screen because it so seldom happens for me. So like I'm pulling from like a Rolodex of unrun campaigns, which I think every DM has, where you're like, here's an idea for a campaign. Here's an idea for a campaign. This is the first time in my life I can actually rifle through them and be like, this one, and we actually get to do it. Because that just about never happens for me. Usually, like, to be completely transparent, usually when I get something, it's because 3 other people dropped out. It's like, I'm being honest. And I'm not
big same.
You know what it's like. I don't have any ego about it. But like when I get pulled in for something, it's like, oh, 7 other bigger names than you couldn't do it, or we couldn't afford them. So you're being brought in, like last minute to kind of pull this shit out of the fire. And here's the half written notes from somebody else that so it's like usually everything I'm making is like last minute after like 3 other people have dropped out. And I know, that's like, cause it's just the reality of, I'm sure people have gotten stuff after I couldn't do it either.
Yeah.
Probably not.
No, they were like, no, there's no one else. That's it. Shut it down. We're done.
Get Jesse Cox, I guess.
No, no, thank you. I'd rather not do it. They're like, shut it down. That guy, terrible. Speaking of death, I just wanted to bring this up to you because it's so funny. Joe Fudge runs a series of D&D campaigns over on his Twitch channel, and he's doing one right now that is all the characters are bad guys. So everyone on the thing is like a bad guy. In his wisdom, he said, wouldn't it be fun if I invite Jesse and Crendor on as a two-headed ogre to be in an episode or two of this show? And we were like, sure, man, make us a character. Awesome. We'll show up. We'll play the character. We'll do our thing. So he made a like magical two-headed ogre where one head is like, you know, all magic and one head is all physical. And he and I have to roll each other to see who actually gets to attack and move the body. And I was like, this is so fun. This is great.
That's amazing.
Everything was perfect. Everything was beautiful, except he has the same death rules. And if you die, you die. And so the bit that we were on for was there was a magical pearl. And we decided we wanted that pearl. And his players were like, yeah, okay, yeah, we'll give you the pearl. But they were like, we're not going to give them the pearl. So when we finally got the pearl, Crendor and I were like, I was like, gives us the pearl. We wants the pearl. And Crendor was doing this like, yeah, we wants the pearl. And they were like, no. So they started to run away with it. Crendor, the guy who had the pearl, mind you, was very tiny. And Crendor has the ability Shrink Ray. And he fires off the Shrink Ray. And it shrinks this tiny character out of the game. Apparently, if you're the smallest size you can be, if you get shrunk with the Shrink Ray anymore, you literally disappear from reality. And so we insta-killed the character. I couldn't believe it. I was like, Crendor, no! And the character goes...
Did you Quantumania him?
We did. Crendor, we showed up for 2 episodes and killed a man.
That's great. Honestly?
Yeah.
I'm here for it.
And the fun part was...
Because here's the thing, that's a spin-off. Then you do like the subatomic game and bring that guy back.
Everyone was like, oh, well, what do we do now? And you could tell that both DM and player weren't like, no one was upset. No one was a mess. They're literally, gears were spinning about, oh, this is what we can do next. This will be so much fun. And that, I think, is the brilliance of, like, everyone thinks a character dying at a table is going to be terrible and it's going to be depressing to everyone, especially since most of the, like, you know, actual play things that are online, when a character dies, the fans are like, ah! And everyone's a mess.
Yeah.
But most of the time, it's not that. Most of the time, it's like, oh, yeah, this character I kind of liked died. Oh, well, I guess I get to make a new character, which is twice the fun.
Yeah. I think it's also like, it depends, like, is your actual play cast ensemble, like, actually friends?
Yeah.
Like, do they actually get along? You know, because not to be, like, a huge Debbie Downer. I'm not trying to be that person. I'm not trying to come on Geekenders and ruin everyone's day. But Jesse and I went through the death of one of our players. And I remember the reason we were able to navigate it on Sunfall Cycle. I'm not going to cry. The reason we were able to navigate it on Sunfall Cycle is like we actually, I remember we talked about it.
Yeah.
We really talked about it, like at length. Off camera, we just like had a session where we're like, what do we do? Like, you know, like we don't want his character to die. That doesn't feel right. Like, how do we navigate it? I think Steven navigated it with a lot of grace. But it was like, I think it wouldn't have, that game wouldn't have continued and it wouldn't have worked if we all didn't like love and respect each other, you know? Like, I think like, I think I remember that was a time we talked about it. We're like, do we even continue? Like, do we still play this? It was just like, I think about it and I'm like, what a beautiful friendship that we all have. Like Jeff and Eric and Britt and, you know, you and Steven, like what a wonderful friendship we all had. Because we were able to just like come together and decide that like, actually, no, we do need D&D right now.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, you know, we actually do need D&D right now. That's how I got into Warhammer. When people ask me about Warhammer, I'm like, oh yeah, like literally one of my best friends in the whole world died, and I started assembling Warhammer because I didn't know what else to do with myself. But you know, I remember we talked about like what to do with his character, because we're like, he shouldn't die. That doesn't feel right. He should be like honored in some way, or like there has to be like something, And so Steven created like this like cool spectral bulldog that
would just follow us around and be a part of our adventure still. And that was very sweet. Yeah. That was very sweet.
It was such a fitting tribute for anybody that like, knew In Control, like that. It was like, because we're just like, he can't leave the party. Like, what do we do? It was like, we don't want to stop playing. That's not, and it was just like, that was what we landed on. And we didn't want to have his character die too. So like, he just followed us around as like a bulldog on our adventure.
Yeah. And I think that, like you were saying, goes to show that, friend groups really make the experience.
Yeah.
And so, it isn't about like, having a great DM is an amazing thing. And when you have the difference between great and good is jarring. But when you have a great DM, it does a lot. But a DM can only drag along so many players before you're like, oh, all right, this group isn't cohesive.
Yeah. Yeah, like, and it just makes it, you led to a TPK early on, and I think the only reason there was a fight we were in and we only lost it because you turned around and ran away.
What do you mean? What? I was a coward. I was a map-making coward. Of course he would run.
And there was like almost a real fight where Jeff was like, or you can do something. But I think it only works because like we were all homies at the end of the day. So it just kind of like, it works, and nobody's taking it that seriously, which I think is the difference between like a good actual play and like a not good one. Cause like, I get emails all the time for people that are like, "Oh, come be in my actual play," and I'm just like, "You want me, a random stranger, to come into your game, and you don't really like. I don't know any of the people there. Like, I don't necessarily think it's a good idea because it's just like you don't know how I play. You don't know how you don't know what intent I'm coming in with. I could come in. Whereas, like, if even one or two people at the table know you, like, we can kind of be like, "Hey, I'll tell you personally, Jesse's just like that,"
Well, I always come with the idea, and I know this is probably the most annoying shit in the world for everyone, but I'm like, okay, I made this character, and his name is like Slimy Backstabber, and his whole thing is he is a slimy backstabber, and like, I don't know what you want me, like, I told you who I was gonna make. This is the character. I'm not gonna suddenly be like, yes, I shall help you, friends. Like, this guy sucks. And the whole
you
point,
literally always said you play for the story and not like you play according to your character and not according to what's like mechanically the best.
Yeah. And I'll even pick, various skills and traits and things that I'm like, yeah, this will be fun. And it's like, wait a minute. So you're a bard, but you have like shit charisma? What are you doing, dude? And I'm like, that's hilarious. He's a terrible bard. And they're like, yeah, but that's not useful for the game. I'm like, yeah, but it's fun for like role play. And everyone's like, we are gonna die in combat, which again, very Jeff. Just like, I am here to roll and win. And I'm like, right, but I'm gonna try and get Bronze in a 25-minute conversation. He's like, we should be moving on. It was good. It was good stuff.
I think the worst part is like it would work.
Yeah.
Like you'd be like, I'm gonna get Bronze in a 25-minute conversation. I'd be like, yes. And he would be like, why are you joining him? I know that you're. I remember one time he was like, I know that you're smarter than this, Bronze.
Yeah. But then it's funny because then we have these moments of like our characters interacting, and then the next scene, and I still to this day think about this, when we were infiltrating, like, Steven is a monster, by the way, created a labyrinth of pain for us. And one of the things was a street where there were these statues and they would throw spears at us and we'd die instantly. So finally, Britt was like, all right, I'm going to shapeshift into a rat and go into the sewers and try to get to the end of so Britt goes into the sewers, runs through, and then is attacked and eaten by other rats. And we watch her transform back into a person, then get sucked into the sewer and be like devoured by. it was one of the most terrible things I've ever had anyone describe to me. And I was like, and we all sat there, other characters like, oh shit. Like, it was very funny.
Oh man, that was so funny. Because she turned into a rat, was eaten by other rats, which knocked her out of that druid form into her human form, and she was immediately stabbed with the spears, I think.
Just like
and then her
brutal,
dead body
and then pulled back into the sewer by the rats. It was so violent. We were all just like,
isn't that where the bagel and steak knife allegory came from? Where it's like, Steven is a bag that says donuts on it, but when you reach your hand in, it's just a bagel and a steak knife. Yeah. Sometimes your hand hits the steak knife. Sometimes you get a bagel, but it's never a donut.
Yeah, it's never what you reached in for. It's always something else. And you're either going to be disappointed or hurt. That's, yeah.
Gosh, no, that's my favorite stuff about this game. That's my favorite stuff about this game.
Yes, that is, like, I've always appreciated the push. I feel like a toddler when I play D&D because I always am like, all right, what can I push? Where can I pull? Where's the limit? And admittedly, that ended up being the single greatest thing when I played Baldur's Gate 3, which was, I remember going to the event with you, and they were like, yeah, so there's this Dark Urge thing, and you could kind of, and I was like, all right, question. Sven, question. If I want to be a good guy Dark Urge, can I? And he was like, you'll have to find out. And so I, as a goof, was like, yeah. I'm going to be a paladin Dark Urge character and only do good things, be the nicest guy ever. And the fact that is not only accounted for in the game, it is a major plot point. I was like, I feel so seen right now as that guy who just wants to break things. And that's D&D allows that. And that's what I love about it. I'm like, oh yeah, no, we can break stuff. And a good DM will be like, all right, I see you trying to break this. Now I'm going to break you. And I love that. I want that. I'm like, yes, destroy me.
That's what Baldur's Gate 3 like kind of resounded with and for so many people, right? Is like, so many people had different experiences of that game based off of like literally like what class you played and like what decisions you made. Like no two playthroughs are really alike unless somebody's played the game through like 19 times, which I haven't.
I have played enough to know that I'm a bad person. So like when I went and played, so I played Jesse the Good, which was my Dark Urge character, and then I made Jesse the Evil. And everyone, and I, made other characters here and there just to like goof around and see the differences. But Jesse the Evil, I wanted to be like evil, not comically or cartoonishly evil. I'm talking like evil. And chat was just like, what do you mean? What are you talking about? And to this day, I'll never forget the like dread, that like pure hatred chat had for me. It was gorgeous. I realized that like, oh no, this is real evil. Like I get Scratch the dog. What a lovely dog. Just the cutest, sweetest boy. Everyone was like, don't you hurt Scratch. I was like, I would never hurt Scratch. Jesse the Evil would never hurt Scratch. And I invited Scratch back to my camp. And I was like, I love Scratch. Scratch is delightful. Act 3, we go to Baldur's Gate. That one lady's like, that's my dog. Give it back to me. And Scratch is like, no, that lady's so mean to me. I'm like, yeah, you can have him. And everyone was like, no. And I was just like, I told you, I'm evil. I'm not Jesse the cartoonishly bad. I'm Jesse the Evil. And that's the most evil choice you can make for that character.
I kind of respect it.
Yeah.
I kind of respect it because I'm not really one of those people that like gets all super hung up on like what characters do, I guess. Because in my mind, I'm like, it's as long as you're not, especially, and this is what I love about Baldur's Gate, as long as you're not like making other players at your table disturbed. I think it's fine.
Yeah.
You know? But then I came up on like versions of D&D and versions of fantasy that had like what you're talking about, unabashedly like sort of like evil characters. And I don't know, like I think like in my mind I'm like, yeah, you did that, that's bad, or that's bad. but it didn't affect anybody else's playthrough. It just affects yours. It doesn't actually hurt anybody that's real or living. And like, you know, I think I think you could even do that at a D&D table if everybody co-signs that they're going to be evil.
Sure. Oh, like, and the thing is there's like different evils. You know what I mean? Like everyone thinks evil differently. And so that would probably be one of those moments where you have to sit down and talk together and be like, okay, so, you know, we're going to be evil characters, but no one's going to be like Dank the Diddler. Like, please don't be that.
Yeah.
Like, don't do that.
No one's going to be like on the Epstein list.
Yeah.
You could do, you could do other shit. Cause that's something that like, I feel like pops up a lot, like in panels I'm on where people will like try to scrub the world clean of like all the bad stuff. And it's one of my go-to things I talk about is like, well, people play D&D for different reasons. And some people do play for escapism. So they're like, oh, well, you know, there's racism and slavery and human trafficking in the real world. So I don't want to deal with that in my fantasy setting. And I'm like, okay, that's you. And that's okay. Because you're playing for escapism or you're playing for a power fantasy. But not everybody is playing for that reason. Sometimes people want those things in their game because in the game version, they can actually do something to change it. And in real life, they don't feel like they can. So when people are like, I don't like racism against drow in my game. As somebody who's dealt with it, I'm like, dude, a plane went down in India and every single comment under was imagine the smell. You know, like it's hard for me to imagine a world where everyone would be like, oh, this person that doesn't look like me and has a different culture than mine, I love them unconditionally. And so does everyone else. I don't, you know, it's like really hard for my brain to even wrap around that. So I personally don't mind it because in my, like, you know, but I understand. And I think it's okay if you're like, I don't want that in my game. I don't want any racism against people from the Underdark. I don't want any people that hate drow in my game. I don't want to play. And that's fine. I think really it's just like, is everybody at the table like have equal buy-in? Because what I loved about KOTOR is like, the first time I played that game, because you have to understand, I only played it like 3 or 4 years ago. Like I did not play it when it came out. And I met this guy, Jolie Bindo, that's his name, bro. Jolie fucking Bindo. That's like, I'm a bad Jedi, apparently, because I don't really like what they're doing to the Wookiees. I'm gonna kill all these motherfuckers because they're slavers. And I was like, this guy's based as fuck. I fucking love this guy. This guy's fucking goated. He's my best friend. And I joined him. And I was like, I think I got a bunch of dark side points from like murking people. And I was like, look what they're doing to the Wookiees. Oh, you think I'm going to be nice to them? I'm going to kill all these motherfuckers.
Yeah.
But I think like sometimes other tables are like, I don't want that. And I think that's valid. I think it's really just like buy-in from everybody. And I think that's kind of what works about Baldur's Gate 3 is like, unless you're playing multiplayer, it's like you're playing like solo. So you don't need buy-in from everybody. You can decide, I'm going to play Jesse the Evil. I'm going to see how these storylines unfold. Maybe I'm going to poke around on this in like deep inside my psyche and try to like, you know, see what pokes back. Right? I want to see if this unlocks something inside me, or maybe I'm just here for fun and haha. But there's something cool about it because it's not hurting anybody real and it's not affecting anybody else's game. You know? So I think that's what works so brilliantly about that game.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's in theory what should work always about D&D is once you establish a baseline of like, all right, what are the rules here? From that point on, it should just be like, let's see what's going on inside that old noggin of yours. Let's tell a story. Let's have some fun. And let's, I mean, again, that's why I like playing characters that are entirely flawed, because I want to see what I can achieve in this world, not being the like min-maxed metagame character that they'll be like, all right, I'm going to make a character. I'm going to go to Google. What are the best druid cantrips? Like, you know, that's what happens 90% of the time. And I'm like, instead, I'm just going to pick like, yes, you know, that looks totally useless. That'll be hilarious. Yes, sure. I can create water now for some reason. Yep. I'm shaping it. Great. Perfect. Why do I need that? I don't know, but it could come in use. Or I could just be like, you know, I'm always thirsty. My character is constantly thirsty. So rather than buy water, I make water. Like that kind of, like, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's
kind of what I like about Zomboid.
Yeah.
Is like, you can make like really unique choices that nerf you in very particular ways, and then like use those points to buff yourself in other very particular ways. Zomboid is actually a great RP experience. If you've never done it, I highly recommend Project Zomboid. It's one of my favorite games. But you can have like hyper specific debuffs just like real life.
Mm-hmm.
You could be like, Sunday driver, you just drive cars a little bit slower. You can have some like hyper specific debuffs and then get some hyper specific buffs. But also you're a very fast reader, you know? And I'm like, oh, I kind of like this, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So I there's pieces of it that in that game that allow for like I always hit random. I always try to randomize that as much as I can because I think it's hilarious to go in the game and be like, oh shit, my character's addicted to smoking. So now I really have to find cigarettes. Like everyone else is trying to find like weapons and materials. And I'm like, has anybody foraged cigarettes and a lighter? Because I'm miserable right now. I really need a smoke. My character's getting real sad. And then when we started farming, my friends were like, okay, we can farm. We could grow corn. We could grow. I was like, we should grow some tobacco. And they're like, you're not for real right now. I was like, I am. We should grow some tobacco. Guys, this is going to pay dividends in 4 months. You know, like in 4 months, I'll be set for life. And it like informed like literally how I play the game was by just playing a character that's a smoker, which I'm not. So I had never even thought about how difficult it would be to be a smoker in an apocalypse. Because your characters get depressed. They're just like, man, I haven't been smoking forever.
Yeah. I was playing through Outer Worlds 2, and one of the best parts, like the game's all right, but one of the best parts of the game is character creation, which is like, if you want to pick a bunch of perks, awesome, do that. But the more you choose, the more negative things you'll get. And the negative things are hilarious. There's some you can balance out. Like one that I chose was, I can never fall below a certain rank with a faction. However, the negative one I chose to balance that was I can never rise above a certain rank. So with everyone, I'm neutral forever. Doesn't matter what I do. So I can be a complete mess. No one can touch me. But then also, I was like, I want to make a sneaky character, like an assassin, and I'm going to be cool. But I also was like, it'd be hilarious if this other perk, which was you have noisy knees. So whenever you crouch in the game to sneak, it goes, and everyone goes, oh, and they turn and look. It's so funny. Your character's like, oh, like you can't move. That's what makes it fun. And I love the idea of taking something and like even in MMO, like Warcraft or whatever, the idea of not doing what the min-max, like Icy Veins or whatever version is, because that I'll never be as good as the person who is the min-max master who then knows what buttons to press when and where and how. I'm like, all right, I followed your instructions. My character's overpowered, but like, I'm just playing someone else's thing now. Like, I want to play my thing.
Yeah. I think actually, like, the removal of some of that stuff is like what made me sad when World of Warcraft did away with all the weird minutia that they used to have. So, like, an example was like pickpocketing or looting lockboxes. You had to find a rogue to open it for you.
Yeah.
And some people, like, when they removed that or detect traps and disarm traps, I was like, they're like, well, nobody was using it. I was like, I was using it. And it was like, to do what? I was like, literally to terrorize hunters in battlegrounds. That's the only thing I used it for. Because every hunter would like post up in a Arathi Basin, like around the farm or whatever. They'd throw down their traps. I could go straight for them. I could tiptoe around the traps. I know that. I would disarm them so they knew I was coming. It was my favorite fucking thing. They'd be shooting flares, trying to figure out where I was. It was my favorite thing to do. That type of weird shit, I live for it. I want all of it. You know, I want all of it.
Yeah.
How is World of Warcraft these days, by the way? I've been thinking about getting back into it.
I haven't played since 2019. Yeah. I know.
How come I didn't know this about you? What the fuck?
I mean, like, I watch, like, Crendor still plays. I like keep up on the lore stuff, and I try to follow along, but I think like game mechanics wise, I'm not a fan of the way they do like the reputation grinds and the mythic plus dungeons and all that stuff. I just don't, it's not for me. I am full on casual. That's a lie. I was going to say I'm full on casual mode boy these days, but I have been playing through Dynasty Warriors Origins lately on like extreme mode because I'm a psychotic for those games. And so I'm like, hard mode, please. I'm quite
very
good.
similar. I've been playing on the hardest difficulty of the new Hyrule Warriors game. First of all, very, very hard. They don't tell you how hard that shit gets.
Yep.
It's like it becomes Elden Ring levels. Like you really got to lock in and like figure shit out. But also, I love that game. That game is so cool. It's my favorite game right now on the Switch 2.
It is the only game I have on Switch 2. I have that and a free Super Nintendo download thing that has all these Super Nintendo games on it. That's all I have.
Hell yeah.
That's it.
Hell yeah. Hyrule Warriors bangs. It's so much fun. They got a little Korok you can play.
My one complaint about the game is they were like, well, we can't have Link, so let's have bootleg Link.
I didn't like that either. I didn't like that either.
Okay.
Because I went on the game's website before I got the game, and it was like, this game doesn't have Link because really it's about Zelda and Zelda's story. And I was like, work. Yes. And then you go in and it's like, this is not Link. And you're like,
yeah. Meanwhile, they start you with Zelda. Like the first couple hours is like Zelda time. Let's go. We're going to do weird backstory on Zelda. It's going to be great. And then it's like, all right, and here's a fake ass Link. You're like, what? All right.
Yeah, I didn't like that, but I do like the Korok. The Korok is very cute. Kalamo, whatever his name is, he's very cute. He just wants to find a forest so he can become a big tree. And that's great. Love that for a story arc.
It's all of them. I think they've hit their stride with what the games are now. Cause both Origins and Hyrule Warriors has a like the R1 or R2 mechanics now, where you can like block and parry and dodge and use different abilities. And they used to have a block and parry and stuff before, but now they have like, oh, you can send in armies of guys at your command and you can that's so cool. Much fun. It actually changes the way the game plays now. And I've been going through Origins trying to really like, I realized I was exactly 4 achievements away from being done with all of it, but those achievements were like collect every horse. And I'm like, all right, Google, I have 5 of 9 horses, but I've beaten the game and I just don't understand what I'm doing wrong. And Google's like, all right, so at the Battle of Chibi, you have to defeat this guy like on extra hard mode doing this one. I'm like, son of a bitch. So in order to be strong enough to do that, I have to go back and play through everything on the hard mode so I can get better weapons and upgrade more so that I can then go do that one stupid challenge. And I got to do 4 of those challenges. And I'm like, okay, all right, sure. Yeah, let's go. And the fact that I am on act 3 of 5 and I've done all of them so far, I'm like so pleased with myself. Like, yeah, I'm not so casual after all. Way to go, Jesse.
You're a hardcore gamer, Jesse. Damn.
Yeah. Now, admittedly, I did go through and level up every weapon to the point where they give you additional levels. So now I'm so over leveled. I'm like, I am your Dynasty Warrior god now. Bow before me. And it's still hard, but
as it should be.
I feel like I have cheated in a way that feels good. Like I love over leveling things and being like, this is no challenge for me. So it's tough.
I think
like
that over leveling things is cheating. I think it's like you chose an alternative path. You could have locked in.
I could have.
And learned timings and
I could have
frame perfect parries. And instead you were like, I just gotta be a little bit stronger.
Oh, I went in. There's a weapon forging system. I went in and all the weapons increased the parry time. I was like, please, I'm not going to learn to perfect parry. I'm just going to increase the time I have to perfect parry, and it works great. I must stress, I love that. Shout out to weapon forging. It makes me so happy. I'm like, yes, I'm just going to increase all damage to officers and parry time. Great.
I think it was like the first Neo game where there was like a little spell you could cast that would slow the boss. It would just make them move a little bit slower. And I would always use it for my first attempt just so I could see what their moves were and how they moved. And man, the amount of people that pissed off was crazy.
Yeah. I mean,
the amount of people that were like, oh, so you cheesed it. And I'm like, it's in the game. I didn't hack the game. I didn't go, you know, like it's in the game. They obviously wanted me to do it or have the option, you know, to do it. It's like, at that point, what's even the point? It trivializes every fight. And I'm like, okay, first of all, you have a limited number of times you can do it, I'm pretty sure. Let me know if I'm wrong. Second of all, like, it's in the game. They obviously wouldn't have put it in there if they were like, oh, you shouldn't ever do this ever. And sometimes literally like all you really need is like to slow the boss down so you can see what the hell they're doing.
Yeah.
Because in some of these games, they be moving so fast you can't really tell what's going on.
Elden Ring to it. The Elden Ring DLC is me being like, I don't know what these bosses are. They're moving so quickly. My old man eyes are like
hitting you.
Huh?
Yeah.
Terrifying.
Yeah.
But that's also I thankfully went through Elden Ring and like tried a bunch of different builds and finally settled on. I tried to do magic. I couldn't do it to save my life. Thankfully, shout out to a bow and arrow. That's the winner every time. But watching Octo play through Elden Ring as a sorcerer and just demolishing it, it was fascinating to watch because he was like killing everything. But his strategy every boss fight was, I'm going to summon a doppelganger of myself. They'll run in like an idiot, and I'll stay back here and just unload. And every fight was that, and it was incredible. He was one-shotting bosses, and I was like, some people were getting mad, and I was like, the game let him do this. It isn't like he hacked or cheated or downloaded a mod. This is a viable strategy.
And also, if they hate it, they will patch it out.
Yeah.
That's the other thing I don't understand when people are like, well, clearly they didn't think about it. I'm like, first of all, as a game developer, there's quite a bit of testing you do. But even then, sometimes players will figure out a unique combination that even the testers didn't catch. If they really, really hate it, they'll patch it out. They have the power to be like, we're going to just release a quick patch that reduces the damage of X, Y, or Z spell. You know, but if they're not doing that, then that means that they're okay with it, and they wanted to give you the option to beat the bosses that way. And if you're clever enough to figure it out or creative enough to figure it out, what's so bad about that?
I think it's
you're not cheating.
Yeah, I mean, it's more about the I don't want to say fan base, because I think most people aren't, they don't care about any of that. But there's like a very strong contingent online of people who are like, well, I beat it the right way. It's like, okay, all right, okay, sure, yeah. If it makes you feel good,
I enjoy
right.
suffering,
Yeah.
but I don't expect other people to enjoy it. So like,
I
my
enjoy
thing is like
suffering.
Ghost of Tsushima. Yeah, so Ghost of Tsushima, I played on the difficulty where the what is it, the Kurosawa difficulty, where it's like you can very nearly one shot most enemies, but they can also very nearly one shot you.
Yeah.
It is a very difficult way to play. It is, but I don't necessarily look at that and say, oh, I'm the only one that got the real Jin Sakai experience and none of you got that experience. That's not, I don't think that that's true. But I will say this, when people will come in and be like, I got this boss on my second try, I'd be like, yeah, did you play on this difficulty or did you play on the other one? Because, it does take more tries to kind of do everything. Because like one mistake and some of those big hits, just like, you're cooked, you're done. Oh yeah, thank you, Jeff. So it was lethal. The Kurosawa mode, I think, was just a filter on the game.
Yeah. It makes it like this very cool black and white look. Honestly, I love that game. Yote was great. So much fun.
I never played Yote. It came out like at a weird time for me, I think. So I have it, but I've never played it. But I've played Tsushima.
Tsushima's good. I love Tsushima. Yote is a treat only because I love the idea of, here's the story. These bad guys murdered your family, and now you're going to find and hunt down all 6 and kill them. That's it. I'm like, yeah.
That's Assassin's Creed Shadows, too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was like Assassin's Creed Shadows is like, oh, you got to take out the 6 people who killed your father.
And honestly, I am fine with a simple story.
Award-winning formula. Yeah.
I love a good, and I love the way that it's done, sort of like that samurai Western style. They do a lot of great, like you enter a bar and then it shows you at the door and it does like kind of thing. And you look, I love that. I want more of that. I'm fine with simple stories. Great stuff. More of it, please. It's always a good revenge tale. And the character's always like, but will revenge change you? And I'm like, I don't give a shit. I'm killing these dudes. Let's go. It's like, yes, but who will you be after you've done it? I was like, I don't know, a person who killed 6 assholes. What the hell are you talking about? Like, yes, but will that not change who you are? I'm like, I was already changed when they killed my family. Like, I love that. I'm fine with that.
I actually really fucked with Assassin's Creed Shadows. I know it got a lot of hate online, but I fucked with it precisely because, like, so you switch between these like 2 storylines, and one of them you're like from a village of essentially like ninjas. Your father dies, and you have to like fight everybody, and then you switch between that and like Sasuke, who's like, you know, this like dude that works for the Shogun, right? So the reason that I liked it is like they both fight so differently because she's like teeny tiny. And so the way it's like 2 different games.
I know.
Like one dude is like straight up just like punching people with a massive maul, breaking armor. And then you're playing this other character that has to like do like perfect parries and like be so sneaky about shit. That was the first game to me where I was like, oh, you actually do have to engage with the assassin mechanics and the stealth mechanics in this, because she can't be out here boxing with these dudes. But then you can switch to the person that's just like, I will absolutely just walk in and box with these dudes. It was fun because I liked that they played with the fact that she was smaller. I liked that they played with like, oh, a woman who's shorter is not going to fight the same way as a 6'2" man with like 120 pounds on her. Like they're just not going to fight the same way. I appreciated it. I was like, yeah, I would have to use different tricks to kill a man than Jesse would.
Well, first off, yes, I would use my feminine wiles and lure him in and stab him in the gut. Yeah, you would bash him over the head and like assault him.
True.
I would be like,
True.
hey, sailor, what's going on? And then stab. Yeah, no, like obviously. The way you were describing that was so funny to me because I kept picturing in my mind that, you know, you like an anime almost where you have like Sasuke, who is this like huge dude, and then a little chibi.
I hope his name is Sasuke. I don't.
Like a little chibi kind of like VTube girl who's like, I'm a ninja. I'm gonna get you. And she just like scurries across the screen. That's how I was imagining your description of this character, where she was like, shh. Oh, is it Yasuke?
Yasuke. Oh, my bad, guys. I haven't played that game in a long time. I'm sorry.
It's just so I just imagine a little VTube model like, okay, I'm gonna get you. And that's the ninja. Oh, that'd be lovely.
Yeah, well, it kind of like, it's not a VTube model, but the reason I say like she's small is like, it's not to like be disrespectful. Like when she gets hit in that game, you feel it in your ribs. Because at the beginning of the game, she has to have this arc essentially where like she essentially gets beaten to within an inch of her life and has to like come back. But when she gets caught out of midair and like choke slammed in the ground and like kicked in the ribs, you feel it because the people she's fighting with are like twice her size. She gets hit with like a truncheon at one point, and I'm like, oh, that would, yeah, no, all of my ribs would snap and I would stop breathing. And so I love that they play with that she has to use like different tricks because she's not Yasuke. Like she's like this big compared to him. And so he just kind of comes in. Their movesets aren't the same. Their style of like approaching a level is not the same. I love that you can kind of switch between them. So I love when, I guess what my point is, I love when games play with that, when they play with like the idea that like Ellie has to fight different than Joel because Ellie's like a little girl and Joel is a full man, you know?
Yeah, I think going back to what we're talking about Warriors games, all the different characters have their different styles based on size and weapon. I think it adds realism to it. I know that we exist in a world where like most video game players want to be like, I want to be that character, but I want to have the same skill set as that person. And I like that it's like, well, all right, but like that character can't wield that weapon. Or, you know, like I like having a little bit of realism when it comes to the different characters you play as in games. I think it's fun.
Yeah, I know that this was like a problem in earlier editions of like D&D, where it would be like, oh, the level of like a female character fully kitted out could never have like the same amount of strength as a male character.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, it's like it has to be informed by the character itself, because there are men who work out that could absolutely whoop my ass. And then there are men who don't work out at all, whose ass I would absolutely whoop because I do. You know what I mean? Like, and I think like removing that part of it is like the problem. I don't think that things should be like, you know, something character informs mechanics, mechanics inform character. I think they have to like go together and make sense.
Yeah.
Can my character wear that?
Yeah. I was trying to think of like what to call. I mean, I genuinely remember like Final Fantasy 11 was like an MMO, it was an online game. And one of the things that game had that in theory I love, which was your race, like whatever, you know, whether you were Taru or, you know, I'm trying to think of it, like a Mithra, all the different races they had, and class, you like each one had different benefits based on stats. So if you're a little tiny baby boy, Taru, you were a great mage, but you weren't a very good, you know, physical character. If you were a, you know, a giant, I think they were called Galka, you would be a great tank, but man, you couldn't cast to save your life. However, I wanted to be a little tiny boy and be like a physical character. And you can, they allow it, but based on stats, you're not very good. Now, the game I could play just fine. Everything was great. I was a little Taru Dragoon. I loved every minute of it. I was just a little tiny cutie boy with my blue armor running around stabbing guys. Cute. However, when it came to late game stuff, I could never get in raids or do anything because I wasn't optimal for that job /class/race. And that always upset me because I was like, I understand, but like, we don't need to be optimal. And they're like, no, we do. It's like, oh, okay. All right.
I think that's a player problem, not a game problem.
Yes, absolutely. That's what I'm getting at. Yeah. It's the players decided that's what the thing was. And it ruined that bit the game had in it, which was like, well, yeah, you can be anything, but you will have consequences for being like, if you want to be a big, dumb Galka mage, you can, but you're going to have less MP and less magical damage than other people. But you can do it. And people did do it. And I didn't like the fact that the community was like, why though? You did it wrong. And it's like, there's no wrong. Let people do what they want to do. And all right, so I'm not going to do optimal damage. But man, nothing ruins a game quite like players. I was like, all right, okay, cool, man.
Yeah, and I think like then it becomes a hatred of like the game system where it's like, well, why did the game allow me to make a character that's not playable? It's like, well, no, because your character is playable. And also like, if you're this big and you're a Dragoon, why are we going to pretend that you're going to do the same amount of damage as like a giant?
Yeah. And
like, it's just not.
Yeah, I mean, like in Baldur's Gate, they had that. In Baldur's Gate 3, that was like a thing where you could make like a jank character. And people did for fun to see what happened. But again, that's a single player experience. So it's different. I feel like
it's different, yeah.
Yeah, like even in MOBAs, people will make builds, and if it's not the optimal build, but it's like a fun build, your team will be like, what are you doing? Yo, mid lane, what are you doing? What'd you build that? And it's like, well, because that person was having fun. Like, it's bronze, man. What's your problem? Like, it's bronze. We're not like, we aren't in plat or something. Like, chill out. But people just can't. Everyone is very, you know, like, I'm here to win. And like, all right, now I get that, and I don't hate you for that. But like, chill out.
It's interesting too, because it's like, I oftentimes wonder, like you're saying, like, oh, people need to chill out. And it's like, I wonder if some of it is, how do I say this? I feel like there needs to be a separate queue for people that are like, I've got 1 hour to play after work. And this dumb, like, I think they need to have their own queue out of respect.
Sure.
Out of respect. I fully am aware that I get to play more hours of video games every week than a lot of people do. So if you're coming home from your construction job and you've got like 2 hours to play League of Legends, and this was the game that somebody was like, I'm going to try to jungle a character that doesn't go in the jungle. I feel like they don't deserve that. I'm of both minds. I'm going to be a chaos debater here.
Okay.
On one hand, I agree with you. People should be allowed to have fun. On the other hand, I'm like, imagine if you will, you have 2 games and then you have to go make your 6 kids dinner and go to sleep. Imagine if someone was like, today of all days, I'm going to play Timo.
I'm going to play Timo. That's right. I'm going to
play Timo. I'm going to have a really dumb build.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to be doing Timo things in the mid lane. I might be mad. I might be like, I had 2 games today, and now there's a Timo in the mid lane with a weird build doing weird things. What's going on? I feel like they deserve their own queue, which is like the sweat queue, which is like everybody here is serious because we got 45 minutes to play. We don't got time for no Timus doing Timu shit. But maybe they should have their own queue.
I mean, like going back to what you're saying about fun. I mean, even the phrase fun, some people's version of fun is winning. And so when they're not winning, they're not having fun. And so like you can't hate someone or be mad at them because like their definition of fun is different than your definition of fun.
Mm.
Like you just like, obviously there's some fun where it's like, oh, I get fun by hurting others. Like, no, you're an asshole. That's what that is. But there's like, in a video game being wanting to win, that's kind of the point. Like it's fun to win. And if that's your version of fun, like, all right.
Especially because you were like, oh, we're bronze. It's like, yeah, but there are people that are trying to get out of bronze.
Yes.
So it sucks if your experimentation is happening in ranked, you're not a nice person. Your experimentation needs to happen in a game where there's no stakes, I think.
Well, and it's so weird going back to like D&D, but I think that because you can, when you play a game, dictate up front what the expectations are. You can't do that in a MOBA or an MMO or whatever when you're playing online with various strangers. And I think this goes back to what you're saying earlier about, being asked to join random campaigns. I don't know any of you. What are your expectations? Like, I don't want to show up.
Expectations.
Yeah.
I was talking to my good friend, Todd Stashwick, about this because we were talking about, I'm like so afraid to say this online. We were talking about how like people that play on camera, it's not necessarily how you play at home.
Sure.
And I was like, yeah, I don't do voices when I'm DMing at home. And he was like, neither do I. And we're like, if people like I don't think a lot of people do voices when they're playing characters at home. They don't necessarily like the Dungeon Master might, but like a lot of players aren't like, oh, this character will speak like this. Like a lot of people are just like, oh yeah, I'm 82 years old. I'm at the end of my adventuring career. Like, but you don't necessarily like do a voice. You just like play because you're not performing all the time. And the way you play at home is just like really different than the way you play on camera. And the weird thing that we've discovered was, no, a lot of people do play at home the way they play on camera. And I was like, oh, that's an incompatibility. I would not want to be in a home game where I'm expected to like put on a voice and like give the most compelling, rendition of an elf sorceress. Like sometimes I just want to like roll the dice and like chill out.
Sure.
And I kind of love that. Like I love games where like you're kind of allowed to do that. Acting feels like a home game. It does. And part of it's because like I don't do a voice in acting. That's just how I talk. Mercer doesn't do a voice in acting. Like we're all kind of like we're just showing up to play the game.
Yeah.
And so it's like, yeah, if people expected me to be like, oh, I'm from this region and I'm gonna talk like this, I'd be like, no, I don't know that I want to. Find it. Curating a good table is like so important, I think. And in games too, because you're right. It's what it comes down to is not everyone's idea of fun is the same. And for me, that there's times it's like not, so that's not fun. I don't necessarily want to hear like someone's bad Scottish accent for 4 hours on a random Friday night. Like sometimes I'm like, I kind of want to like, so for me, this is a great idea of like different ideas of fun. For me, I like the actual like fighting and the strategy of it. Because D&D evolved from war games. Like, so I like that part of it. I don't want to spend 2 hours shopping. I don't want to sit here and listen to you haggle with every fucking NPC or flirt with every fucking innkeeper. It makes me want to crawl my eyeballs out and die. And in my home game, I'm just, I don't have to put up with it. So I don't play with people that want to do that. I'm not saying that that's wrong. It's just that's not how I like to play. And so, and this is actually something me and Jeff bonded over a lot. Because it was like, there's no wrong approach to Dungeons and Dragons, but you have to find your people for like your most cozy way to play. And you can be flexible and like, especially like when you're playing with strangers and like be like, okay, they're going to role play for 40 minutes here. That's fine. But there's like in your home game, when you've invited people into your house, you want to curate that experience more so that you're not like doing work, I guess, in order for it to be real play. And so, one of the biggest sort of, I don't want to say it was a fight because it was like a disagreement and it sort of ended a campaign, was I had a player in a game. I would go into every like situation excited to see like what the DM had set up. And I had a player who was hell-bent on like talking their way out of or around every combat. So we would just never do combat. And it hit a point where I was like, dude, if the DM brings out another map and minis and you try to talk us out of it again, I'm gonna step away. I just have to step away because at some point I would like to like fight something and do this part of the game. And he was like, oh, well, my character's a pacifist, and I was like, and he was like, and I like to cleverly avoid all these situations and kind of outsmart the DM. And I was like, do you think that's fun for the DM who painted this shit? I looked at the dungeon master and he was like, I would also ideally like to at some point have a combat. And I was like, yeah, for me, the game of D&D is never against the dungeon master. It's just against whatever's on the table.
Right.
And the dungeon master is actually a really nice person who set up a cool combat puzzle or like, other type of puzzle for us to solve. And this whole thing of like, I want to outwit the DM and be like really clever so that whatever the DM plan doesn't happen. I was like, I don't think I want to play with you anymore.
Yeah.
And I think we need to normalize that. That not every table is for every person. I think we need to normalize being like, I don't like this and I'm going to step away. I think because I see so many Reddit threads that are like, I have a player that's XYZ, or like when I do panels at PAX, people be like, I have a player that's XYZ. And my most toxic take is I'm like, maybe you should talk to them about leaving or like start a different game without them. And nobody ever wants to hear that. They're like, well, maybe there's a way. I'm like, no, they seem fundamentally incompatible with what you're doing. Like, I mean, it's like at a PAX West panel, someone said, like, I have a player that, like, if I give them an inn and a quest, they kill the innkeeper and burn down the inn. And I was like, then there's just no, no, you need to tell them, like, do you actually want to play? You need to have that conversation of, like, do you actually want to play this game?
It feels a lot like, I know people kind of poo-poo the, like, goofiness of having a sit down with everyone at the beginning and being like, let's talk about setting up, the standards of what this is going to be and what are people comfortable with. Like, it always seems kind of goofy when you just hear it, but it is so necessary to have like a session 0 where you all sit down and you not just create characters, but you like discuss like, all right, you made a bunch of characters, but this guy over here made a character that's, a pacifist or whatever, and will not mess with combat, but all you made like murder hobos, so this could be a problem. It could be incredibly entertaining to have a pacifist try to wrangle for people that are like barbarians or whatever. That could be very entertaining for the group. Or it could be a complete shit show. So let's talk about it right now and set some ground rules. But people don't do that for some reason.
I think it's like, because people think session 0s are just about like gushy feelings. Like I think like the people that like hate sessions are, because I've definitely had people that are like, oh, a session 0, because they're like, I don't really have any sensitivities. I don't have any triggers. And I'm like, well, it's not just about like that. Even if you like, first of all, I think it's like kind of weird to be so against it, but also like that's not the only thing we're talking about is like, oh, you don't get triggered by anything, so therefore you don't want to be in the session 0. But also like we talk about, what kind of like, what's your version of fun? Because I think it comes back to that like sort of League of Legends problem we were talking about, where it's like, if at the end of the day, the shit is time consuming.
Yeah.
Like D&D and anything like this is like incredibly time consuming. You have to like coordinate multiple people's schedules, usually multiple adult people's schedules that are juggling all these obligations. You have such a brief amount of time to like actually do this thing, and you want it to be fun and you want it to be great. And so it's like running into a scenario where maybe at one point you were having fun and now it's a miserable thing. It just becomes like a social minefield. It's really easiness for bitterness to creep in, because you're like, man, I spent 4 hours a week on this. I don't have that kind of free time, you know? In 4 hours, I could paint 1/17 of a miniature for my Warhammer army, you know, in 4 hours. If I spent this time that I'm spending on this bad game every week painting my army, I could be 1/100th done with my Spearhead army, you know? And so I think like it is important because it's saving everybody a lot of headache. Because a lot of people are like, it's just a game. Why do people get big feelings involved? I hear that all the time, even like in video games, like it's just a game. I'm like, I think it's about time. Everybody's overworked, tired, and broke. So I don't think it's about the game necessarily, where it's like, I think it's more so about like, people don't have time anymore. So the idea of like wasting time, that's where the stakes come from. It's like, I don't have time to have a bad game or lose in League of Legends for 7 hours. And I think so much toxicity just comes from that.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm wrong.
No, but
maybe people are bad. I don't know.
It goes back to what you're saying about you wanting to, you know, roll dice and do the battles and play the things. And you don't want to sit there and waste your time while someone spends 45 minutes of their character like flirting with an innkeeper. Like for that player, they're probably having a great time, but that is inconsiderate of everyone else at the table and what they're doing. And I feel like, you know, one of the things that I've learned over the years is that when I play my goofy ass stupid character who is a coward or is like, I'm conniving or whatever, I also learned to shut the hell up. And so my character, I will have 1 or 2 fun bits during our session. And then the rest of the time I'm shutting up because I don't want to take away from everyone else, because otherwise I'd be a complete mess at the table and like, yeah, I'm plotting you. It's like, no. Do your little dumb goof, Jesse, and then let everyone else play their game. So that like they're reminded that you suck and your character's evil, but also we're still playing a game and everyone gets to have fun. And I think that's a problem, is a lot of people are like, no, this is my story. It's like, no. It's a group thing. It's a group thing. And so as a group, you need to figure out where you fit in. And then once you do, stay in that lane. Like, this is who you are now. You're this player. Don't like if you're going to be the wacky one, don't take it's like a movie. A side character that's a wacky goof is great until they get their own movie. And then you're like, why the hell am I watching this shit? Like, this guy sucks.
Yes. I think it like trickles down into like a lot of things, because I'm not necessarily like a sweaty player, but I also don't like when people disrespect my time. And one of like the bigger fights I had when I used to raid in World of Warcraft, that was a fight, not a disagreement, was a player would get up to smoke all the time when we were raiding. And another person in my guild, and it drove me nuts, man. It drove me nuts. I would get like really fucking mad about it, because essentially like we'd pull and it'd be like, oh, where is he? And he'd come back and be like, sorry guys, I had to smoke. And I had a legitimate crash out. I'm not proud of it, but I was just like, I don't have fucking time, dude. I work at a game store, fucking 6 days a goddamn week. That shouldn't be legal. And you know, I get 2 days a week to play this fucking game, and we're wiping because you're AFK smoking. And I just, you know, like and what it was is, it wasn't about that guy. It wasn't about smoking. It wasn't about raiding. I was so tired, you know? I was so tired. Yes. And it was like I was clinging to this like I just want raid night to go well. And we're wiping because one of the healers is AFK smoking. And it was just, and I remember him being like, it's just a game. And when he said it's just a game, it tipped me over the edge. It tipped me over into like, the crash out, because before that I feel like I was like pretty calm. When he was like, you need to calm down, it's just a game, I was like, you know, because it's like, dude, I don't have that much free time. This is my hobby. You're taking what little time I have and rendering it for me joyless, you know?
Yeah.
And he was like, why do you care so much about wiping? I'm like, it's not about wiping. It's that this attempt didn't even have a snowball's chance in hell. And anybody that knows about wiping in WoW knows everybody's got to run back. Everybody's got to rebuff. You got to get all your buffs back on. It is so annoying to wipe in that game.
Yep.
And so, yeah, it would just like drove me crazy to wipe for something so stupid, not like because, oh, we couldn't do it or someone made a mistake or, it's the feeling that your time's been disrespected, which I think like, that's where I think a lot of this like sweatiness kind of starts to creep in. Having been one of those people where if you see like a little Taru Dragoon and you're like, is this person going to be for real? Is this going to be the reason why we can't clear this week?
Yeah.
Is this going to, I think like people being tired and overworked is like, it trickles down into everything. Trickles down into.
Yeah. It's unfortunate that what ends up happening every time. It happened in WoW. It happened in, it happens in everything. I mean, even Final Fantasy 14 got rid of that part of 11, which is basically they're like, all right, well, this one thing isn't cohesive with the unity of the community, so we're going to completely remove it, which then makes every character kind of like samey. And you're like, all right, cool.
Yeah.
And it takes away a little bit.
Yeah, and I don't like that. I don't like that either. I don't like when all the characters become samey, and it's like, what's the solution,
Honestly, I don't know, and that's not I'm not being paid to figure it out, so I'm not gonna. But I genuinely, every time anyone asks me like, oh yeah, with MMOs, I'm like, I'm so thankful I am not in charge of one. Because it seems like a thankless, impossible task to make make any online video game where multiple people play and everyone has different expectations. I don't want to be in charge of that. That sounds like the worst. Yeah, sure, you stand a chance to make $1 bajillion, but like, nah, I'd rather have mental sanity. Like, y'all, I couldn't deal with it. I go crazy. So,
especially because like there's also like it's also trickles into like D&D where you have like I feel so bad when a character's entire bag is like necrotic damage and we're in an area where everything's going to be necrotic resistant.
Yeah.
But then you have like a cleric that's like, yes, undead, finally. So it's really hard to balance even like 2-player experiences, Like it's really hard to balance like, oh, if we do make something that's hyper specific for one kit and one class that's really good at doing one particular thing, they're going to enjoy this dungeon and raid and this area of leveling very, very good. As other person's going to hate it completely. They're going to absolutely like just not even fucking like this. And it's similar with like when you ask people, like we were talking about Elden Ring and like Souls-like games, like if you ask them which bosses or which areas they struggle on, sometimes there are some common themes, but some people have very different answers. And a lot of times it depends on like literally like what weapons they use and what their build was. Like, like I didn't have a hard time with Quelog because I just happened to have, I think it was like a really leveled up fire sword at that point in the game. So like for me, Quelog was like really easy. I think she was weak to fire. Was it fire or was it lightning? I don't remember, guys. Quelog was a long time ago. But I remember my friend being like, oh man, I struggled against Quelog so much. And I was like, I just remember it being like one of those things where it's like, is it, like it's like your mileage may vary depending on like how you're playing, what you're playing.
I mean, I think it's like real life in that everyone's builds a little bit differently. And more importantly, pattern recognition is different for everyone. Like I always think about the fact that when I was younger, I played baseball in like Little League, and one of the things that I was not like, I could catch a ball just fine, but I was not a great, like batter. I would get struck out all the time or hit balls or whatever, except for one game. And it was against one of my friend's little brothers was the pitcher. And for some reason, I like clocked this dude and like saw the matrix code on this boy. And every time he pitched, I was getting to like third base. I was just swinging on this guy. It never happened any other time. But yeah, this one person I recognized, like, oh, yeah, he was my boss fight that I could dominate. Like, for some reason, I saw all his moveset and, like, knew. Like, oh, yeah, no, I know this fight. And I just, like, beat the crap out of this kid to the point where his parents were mad at me, which I'll never forget. They were, like, really upset. But I think, like, that happened. People just in general see things differently, experience things differently. And sometimes, like Dodger and I, when we play puzzle games, we will get stuck on different puzzles. And it's really funny because I'll destroy a puzzle and she'll be like, I couldn't figure that one out. I was like, how? What do you mean? Why? She's like, yeah, but this other puzzle? I'm like, oh yeah, no, that one sucked. She's like, oh, I beat that.
Sometimes I overthink.
Yeah.
And so like the best example like for puzzles is like there was I'm gonna sound crazy to people that there was a puzzle in Silent Hill. I was playing on the hardest difficulty for the combat and the hardest difficulty for the puzzles.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to solve a little mathematical equation. And when you do, it gives you the code for a safe. It only gives you a number that is 3 digits, but the actual code you need for the safe is 4 digits. I was like, my math must be wrong. There's no way that they would give me a 3-digit code for a 4-digit safe. Everybody in chat thought I was very, very stupid because they're like, you just add a 0 to the front. And I'm like, as a former chemical engineering major, you don't just add zeros to anything. Like I started talking about sig figs. I started talking about significant figures because I was like, no. I did the mathematical equation. I have a 3-digit number. The solution needs to be a 4-digit number. So clearly let me revisit the math. I was sitting here for 3 goddamn hours, dog. And then I was like, let me just add this is going to be very stupid. I'm just going to add a 0. Added the 0 and everyone in chat was like, that has been the answer the entire time. It was like something like that was so ridiculous to me that I was just like, I was doing unit conversions. I was doing like anything you could possibly, I was like, I need 4 digits. So maybe this is, okay, where are the characters based in? Because maybe this is a matter of meters instead of miles. I had chat muted. I was not reading any of it because I was like, I know they're all saying I'm stupid right now. And literally the second it was done, everybody in chat was like, we've known for the last 3 hours that you just add a 0. But it was split between people that agreed with me of like, well, yeah, you just add a 0 to the front. And people that were like, no, I also would not just add a 0 to a number. I was like, yeah, I can't do that. I can't be out here just adding zeros. I can't say that there's a 0 there. And literally it's the difference between like, I literally started talking about sig figs. And it's, and even now there's people in chat that are like, I would never add a 0. I'm like, yeah, because when you do the puzzle and it gives you a 3 digits and you need 4, there's a lot of people from science and mathematics that would be like, well, clearly you can't just add a 0. That's not.
What's so funny about this?
You would never do that.
Is knowing that you struggled with the add a 0 thing. And then when you add a 0 at the beginning, that's the answer. Here's how I would have done this puzzle. I would have gotten the 3. I would have entered the 3 numbers, then put a 0 at the end. Been like, well, that doesn't make any sense. And then been like, this puzzle's unsolvable. I wouldn't even tried after that. I would have been so upset that like 1, 2, 3, 0. Clearly that, right? If it's only 3, there must be a 0 at the end. And then, yeah, I'd be like, this is stupid.
At the end is like, that's a different number, Jesse.
I'm aware.
Like, I need you to understand that's a different number.
I know. But if they gave me 3 and it was 4, I'd add a 0 at the end. I would not think to start with a 0. I don't know why. I just wouldn't. And then I'd be like, well, this is
wild. The end would make blood come out of my nose. If I had to add a 0 to the end and that was the solution, I would die on stream. If that was the solution, I'm not saying you're wrong for doing it. I'm saying if the actual solution was to add a 0 to the end, you would just see blood start coming out of my nose and my eyes. Like I would just be like, that's not even the right number. That's a totally different number. That's not even correct. Like I would just.
Yeah. I don't know why I would do that. I just, for some reason, when you said add a 0, in my mind was like, well, yeah, to the end. And you're like, at the beginning. I was like, whoa, okay. I didn't even clock that was an option.
I was out here. It's the funniest VOD ever. I was out here like, perhaps the numbers correspond to something, letters on the calendar in the office, and perhaps those letters then spell out a word, a cipher of sorts, that might then lead to another number. And it was just add a 0 at the front.
Yep.
I still haven't beaten the Silent Hill remake because I had to take a break after that. When it was a 0 in front, I was like, I think I'm gonna take a break. And I haven't gone back and beaten it. And And to people that don't think that way, they would be like, "Are you stupid?" And I'm like, "No, it's just if you don't think that way, it's very silly to be like, why wouldn't you add a 0? And if you do think that way, then you're like, I totally understand her. I also would not add a 0. That is very ridiculous, you know? And it's so puzzles are weird. Puzzles are weird because sometimes you overthink them or you think of them in a way where you're just like, what? You know, like you just think of them in a way where the game developers didn't plan it, nobody planned it, and you're just sat there like, and there's most of the time when I solve a puzzle, I'm like, there's no way I'm just supposed to break this, right? And I break it and I'm like, that was it the whole time. That was it the whole time.
Yeah, I realized to this day, the one jug puzzle from Die Hard with a Vengeance where they have to pour the water into the different jugs, I still don't know how to do that. I cannot figure out the water puzzle. When it shows up in games, I'm like, this goddamn puzzle. What are we doing? And I'll spend like 25 minutes like just guessing until it works. I'm like, all right, got it. Moving on. I know what I need to do. I understand the fundamentals of it. I'll just sit there and be like, but there's too much water. What do I do? How do I make the water go? Oh, I'm terrible at it. That one puzzle alone is the bane of my existence. I don't know why. Everything else, if it's a puzzle.
Were you good at those like hacking puzzles in BioShock where you have to like move the pieces?
Yeah. I can like those in the newest Resident Evil. There are puzzles that are like DNA sequences and you have to make it so all of them are red. And literally it's just work the outside and then hit the one in the middle and it works. Every time it worked. And I was like, why is this so easy for me? But these damn jug puzzles, I'm like, I don't know how jugs work, dude. I can't figure it out. Like
I don't know how jugs work. It's
I don't know how jugs work,
me.
dude. I don't even get it. Like I see them everywhere, but I don't know, man. I don't even understand. What are they doing? What are they doing over here, these jugs? All right. That, unfortunately for us, is where we have to wrap today. But, Bronze, please let us know what is happening with you this coming week or where people can find you. Shamelessly plug yourself.
Yeah. Hi. Hello. I'm ThatBronzeGirl. I'm gonna try to get in some streams this week. I haven't streamed in a little bit for various reasons I talked about, and I'm doing that thing where I've developed an anxiety around it. If you have depression and anxiety, you totally know what I'm talking about, where you start to wig out about really simple things that you used to do, and now you're like, ugh. But yeah, you can find me on my Twitch channel. Hopefully soon. When I get over the anxiety of the first stream back. And you can also find me on D&D's Dungeon Master series that's coming to YouTube. The first 2 episodes are dropping together. So if you like Ravenloft, if you like D&D, if you like an amazing cast full of fantastic performers and D&D players, check it out. You can get a sneak peek at Ravenloft. That's kind of cool.
Very nice. Yes, please go check out Jasmine and all of the ThatBronzeGirl awesomeness that's out there. I think this weekend, for me, I'm going to try, a bunch of new games came out, so I'm going to try Mouse PI and Pragmata and Replaced and all sorts of games that are out right now. A lot of stuff dropped.
Oh shit, yeah, Pragmata!
Yeah. A lot of stuff dropped today, so very excited. Pragmata is a game that, did you play the demo?
Yes, I played it at PAX West.
It's fun. My brain can barely handle it, but it's fun. I'm very excited to see what the full game's like. So yeah, we'll check all that out. And then for those of you who are still watching along, by all means, my goodness, Octopimp and I have started our ridiculous series of me forcing him to watch all the Fast and Furious movies. You can do the watch alongs.
How many are there?
There's 11 total. They started in 2001 and go to this very day. So we've been watching through them all. You can see our podcast reaction every Wednesday over on the channel, but also you can go to patreon.com/JesseCox and watch me and him watch along to these amazing, amazing movies. And they only get crazier, and I must stress, I've been having a blast. So yeah, but that's it for us. Thanks so much for tuning in. And this will be up on youtube.com/Jessie Cox. I'm trying to remember what Dodger says at the end of these. She does the outro. I don't remember half of it. But anyway, that's it. Thanks so much. We'll see y'all next time. Bye, everybody.
Yeah, you know what time it is. It's time for the Geekenders podcast. MegaRan, Jesse and Dodger, what up? Let's go. Yo, it's the weekend. Yeah, it's time to geek out. Let it begin. Go on, stream and shout. It's Jesse and Dodger, so give them a follow and see what the Geekenders are all about. Yo, it's the weekend. Yeah, it's time to geek out. Let it begin. Go on, stream and shout. It's Jesse and Dodger, so give them a follow. #1 geek podcast, without a doubt. Yo, another end of another long week. Got a job and a kid, I know that you all beat. So take a second, grab a drink and vibe while we catch you up in just a matter of time. On gaming, comics, whatever you're doing. If you're nerdy like us, then you know you should tune in. Thank you for sharing our world with us. Now follow, subscribe, and turn this up. Yo, it's the weekend. Yeah, it's time to geek out. Let it begin. Go on, scream and shout. It's Jesse and Dodger, so give them a follow. #1 geek podcast, without a doubt.